It's fluent and chill. I'm fluent. He's chill. But today, Jay, we're not fluent and chill. We're GM Anthony K and GM Jermaine. We are not only going to play the GM game, which we told everybody I'm going to be Kevin Durant. You're going to be LeBron James. And we're going to pick our all-star teams because I don't think KD really put his best effort into his all-star draft. So we're going to redo it. And we're going to talk about whose team will win and why. Mm-hmm. We're also, of course, going to do mail drop and take your questions. We got 4 really good questions this week. Mm-hmm. But we're going to kick it off. We're going to kick it off in the NFL. And I think we're going to do this throughout the offseason because we're going to talk about the draft. We're going to talk about trades. We're going to talk about free agents. Mm-hmm. And, we kick it off with my favorite position because it's what I used to play. So wide receivers. I'm going to give you what I think, what ESPN thinks are the top 5 wide receiver free agents. Mm-hmm. And let's discuss where they should end up, where you want them to end up, and maybe what's the best fit. So I'll kind of leave it open to that. So we're going to start with number 1. Let's kick the show off with a bang. You know who the best receiver in the game is. It's Davante Adams.
You sure it ain't Cooper Kupp? Are we sure it's not Cooper Kupp?
Cooper Kupp had the best season.
Okay, there's a difference.
Ever, including postseason. But no, but he's not a free agent. So we know he's staying in LA.
He is not available.
Davante Adams is a free agent. And let's be honest, all 32 teams should want him. There shouldn't be a team in the NFL that doesn't want Davante Adams.
Absolutely.
However, where do you think he either should go, will go, or the best fit?
Well, let me ask you this question, Tone. Who had the number 1 seed in the NFC last year?
The Packers.
Who was the league MVP?
That quarterback that they have there.
I mean, how much better can you get than that? That's it. That's as good as it gets. So it's not like him moving to Houston or him moving to Arizona, which I would like him in Arizona. We could take AJ Green out that lineup and put him in Arizona. But
you want Arizona to have DeAndre Hopkins and Davante Adams?
Hey, wow. I'm looking at the return to super teams in the NFL. That's what I'm looking at right now because that's what the Rams basically did. They basically stacked the deck. That's what they did. So with that being said, the situation that he's in right now, Aaron Rodgers comes back. It doesn't get any better than that for him. He's had the most success with Aaron Rodgers. There's no reason for him to leave.
But that's under the presumption that Aaron Rodgers is also in Green Bay.
Correct. Now,
what if Aaron Rodgers decides to go somewhere else? What if Aaron Rodgers decides to go to Denver? What if he decides to go home to San Francisco, figuring, hey, I can't beat him, and maybe I'll join him?
I'm going to take it a step further than that, Tone. I've heard through the grapevine that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are putting together a package to move on Deshaun Watson. And if Deshaun Watson was to come to Tampa, Mr. Adams, 75 degrees in December. Come on down here. I'll throw you the football. Absolutely, my man. Come down here with us. No question about it. I love him. I love Deshaun Watson with Davante Adams. Absolutely. I love that.
Watson and still have, and then Davante Adams and Mike Evans. Mm-hmm. Wow. That would be.
Because Godwin's coming off an ACL, so we ain't going to have him.
But we're going to talk about him in a minute because he's a free agent too. Mm-hmm. So you got Davante Adams. Best fit is stay in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers.
Stay in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers.
Go to your wish would be Arizona to team up with DeAndre Hopkins.
I dig him with.
I want to pause on that one because if Davante Adams signs with Arizona and DeAndre Hopkins stays, then I'm going to call up my friend Brian Toohey, who writes a book called "The Game Is Fixed." Okay, sports are rigged. I had him on the show before because where is the Super Bowl next season?
I think it's in Vegas.
It's in Arizona. And what has happened the last 2 seasons?
The same thing that's going to happen the next year. The same thing that's going to happen.
Arizona gets Davante Adams and they go to the Super Bowl and win, just like Tampa and LA before them. My conspiracy hat is going to really start to come
I
on.
already been on it, Tom. My wheels already been turning.
All right, so let me say this. Yeah, obviously Devontae Adams. See, for me, I'll pick where I want him to go. It's a homer pick, right? Allen Robinson is a free agent. He's probably going to be gone out of Chicago. We're going to talk about him in a minute. So Chicago with Justin Fields. What else does he need except a prime-time wide receiver? You pair him with Darryl Mooney. I like the Bears receiving core. It's in the same division. He knows everything. It's comfortable. That's how I would pitch it to Devontae Adams. We're going to throw the bag at him. All the money you want, here you go. Right? Everybody's really excited about our new head coach, our new offensive coordinator. They hired his guy from Green Bay, so maybe they can use that kind of pair. The first person he called was Devontae Adams when he took that role. So the Bears might have maybe an inside scoop there.
To have him walk out the front door in the division, though, to a division rival.
Hey, that's what happens. Hey, free.
Yes,
free.
That's what free agent means.
Now that being said, that's my dream location.
Of course.
Where he's the best fit, I think. Yeah, the one makes sense would be wherever Aaron Rodgers is. Makes the most sense. Obviously, they have that, they're clearly in sync with each other. That long shot team, though, the team that maybe, no one's thinking about, is if we just scour through who needs a number one wide receiver, who has money in the bank, who has a young quarterback that's on the come up, although in a tough division. But more importantly, the last time they had a superstar receiver, they headed into the Super Bowl undefeated. You put Devontae Adams on the New England Patriots with Bill Belichick, and I think Devontae Adams is the type of player that could he's not the one that's going to buck that Patriots lifestyle. I think he's a good dude by all we've heard about him. You give Mac Jones a weapon like Devontae Adams, because I said this, if you remember last year, when Odell Beckham was a free agent, everyone says he's washed. What did I tell you? I said, he's not washed. He just didn't have a quarterback. You put him on any team with a quarterback, you're going to see the old Odell Beckham. Well, what did we see? When he went to LA, the old Odell Beckham. Correct. And my thing was the best situation for him and for the team, even last year, I said, put OBJ on the Patriots, because that gives Mac Jones the one thing he needs, which is a deep superstar threat. And now the Patriots, I think, would have a better chance. They didn't do that. We saw what happened to them in the playoffs. So, does Bill Belichick call up Devontae and be like, hey, you saw what we did with Randy Moss?
Well, that was my question, though, Tone, because when I see Tom Brady with Randy Moss, Tom Brady was seasoned. We're talking about a young quarterback with a dynamic wide receiver who demands touches, who demands a double team. How is that going to work with Mac Jones being a young quarterback? And he's still trying to figure it out. Now, would Belichick put him in the best situation to have Devontae Adams successful? Because, again, we're talking about a young quarterback and Mac Jones who doesn't really have it together yet, but he's getting it together. Devontae Adams is already polished.
Sure.
Right? He's already polished, and he's a guy who he can make you look better, but you can make him look worse in a different situation.
But you could pitch you can get in on a dynasty of championships, because that's the one thing. That's the one thing you're missing, is that multiple rings separate yourself from these other guys. And how do you do that? Come in early. If I'm Bill Belichick, I say, this is the next Tom Brady. I'm going to believe it. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That's the long, sharp shot, right? That's a dark horse. Okay. I think if I'm the Patriots, I'm making that call.
Make a pitch. Here's the problem, though, Tone. The problem that we're having with this is the New England Patriots are notoriously
cheap. Oh, I know. But they spent money last year. They spent money. So you never know. Okay. Number 2, Mike Williams. Or as Boomer would always say, the Chargers, Mike tick, 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 Williams. Minutes.
To be honest with you, I love Mike. I love Mike with Justin Herbert. I don't really see that. I don't see that situation changing. I think that him and Justin Herbert have a great chemistry. Mike Williams is one of the better big wide receivers in the game and one of the best third down wide receivers in the game, right? So his ability to push the football up the field and get big first downs, I just like his chemistry with him. Now, when I look at Los Angeles, they got money to spend, Tony. They're not really a team that's over the cap because they're not really paying anybody. So I could see him staying in Los Angeles with the Chargers.
I don't even want to, I'm so in sync with that answer because I don't think they let him walk, nor
No.
should they let him go anywhere. I would say they're probably more likely. I'm not saying they're going to do this. I'd say that they'd be more likely to get rid of Keenan Allen
Right.
before Mike Williams. I think Mike Williams stays in the Chargers.
Well, if they
However,
had to
if you
choose,
had
yeah,
to pick,
sure.
if you had to pick another team, who
If
could
I had
you?
to pick another team, I'll tell you what, Tone, right up there in the Northeast where you are, I think he'd be great with Josh Allen. I think he would be awesome.
You just want to give every team like they have Diggs, right?
And how's that working, Tone?
It worked great.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is the Rams just wrote the blueprint.
You want to
Okay.
give You want to give the Cardinals Hopkins and Adams, and you want to give the Bills
Well, here's
Diggs
the
and
problem. Well,
Williams.
here's the problem with Arizona. Hopkins, he was hurt all last season, so we don't know what he's gonna be, right?
Okay.
And I'm looking at Buffalo, and I'm looking at right then with Diggs. Take him and Mike Williams and put them two together. Because is Mike Williams a number one? I don't think he's a number one. I think he's a really good.
I think he's a really good 2 or like a 1B, maybe.
Right. I think he's a really
now
good
that
number 2.
And when I think about it, I guess in the playoffs, what were they able to do to the Bills? Now, don't get me wrong, Gabriel Davis had like 200 yards and 4 touchdowns in the playoffs, but they held Diggs to 7 yards. If you got Mike Williams on that team, you can't play that strategy. Now, Gabriel Davis surprised them and had a huge game, but when Mike Williams is there, you're not even game planning that way. You can't. Mike Williams will kill you.
Essentially, what Kansas City did was you're going to have to catch all the balls because you're not catching any of them. Yeah. And we'll eat. If you go for 200 yards, we will eat that. No question about it.
And they did, and it almost cost them.
Right. But you're not going to do it. So I think that Mike Williams is a really good number 2. A really good number 2, and I think he'd be really good with Josh. I think he'd be really good with Josh Allen.
All right.
So,
I'd like to see him on the Jets, just because we never talk about the Jets. All right.
I was going to say the Giants, Tone, but I was like, hey.
Oh, could you imagine? I think they just spent their money on wide receivers. They have a problem at quarterback, not at wide receiver. Chris. So speaking of, you brought up Chris Godwin before, coming off an injury. I think one of the most underrated wide receivers. Like, we do not give Godwin his flowers. So if he's healthy, so today we're going to assume everybody's healthy. Godwin.
Well, you consider Godwin. He plays like Cooper Kupp. He plays on the edge. He also plays in the slot. So you could put him in a number of different places. I think he's an AFC guy. And when I think about an AFC guy, I think he's an AFC West guy. Like, I like him in Denver, right? I like him with the Raiders. I think that he could help the Raiders out a lot. I don't see him back in Tampa because I told you already. They're gonna have to pay him, and I think that with Deshaun Watson being on the market and possibly having a shot at him, like, that's gonna take up a lot of their salary cap, and they're gonna have to pay Godwin, and I just like him in the AFC. I think he'd be a good AFC guy.
Okay, so I'll give you my Godwin answer because you brought up something that I want to talk to you about. So we're going to go off wide receivers for a second after I say this. The 2 teams that came to mind with Godwin, oddly enough, one was the Raiders, because I could see Josh McDaniels being like, hey, I want to use you the way the Rams used Cooper Kupp, and let's get you those numbers. Let's get you paid. The other one I saw, it's interesting. You had mentioned Adams to the Cardinals. I actually thought Godwin to the Cardinals because you have your X in Hopkins, and now he could be that slot guy. So I thought Arizona was actually good to replace AJ Green. And no offense to AJ Green, but I think at this point in their career, I think Godwin's probably the better complementary wide receiver. That being said, you brought up Deshaun Watson to the Bucs a couple of times, and I'm curious, do you think Bruce Arians wants to take a chance on a young, dynamic, incredible, but off the field, there's problems still, right? There hasn't been resolved with Deshaun Watson. If they're going to do that, why wouldn't they make a push for Aaron Rodgers and kind of say, hey, one veteran great for another? And I'd love to see Aaron Rodgers in Bruce Arians' offense because it takes a lot of chances. They tend to throw a lot of picks, and Aaron Rodgers historically isn't that guy. But I've always said I think Aaron Rodgers doesn't take enough chances, which is maybe why he doesn't throw so many picks, which may cost him games in the playoffs. So I'd love to see that pairing. Why do you think they'd go Watson over Rodgers if they could get either one?
Well, number one, I think that he brings a dynamic to their offense that they didn't have. And that's the ability not just to throw the long ball, but with legs, and he's smarter than a lot of the other young quarterbacks. And we're not talking about a guy who is coming off a season-ending injury or anything like that. Right. No, we're talking about a guy who's still sharp, who's still got all his athletic ability, right?
So we hope. We don't know. He could have gained 100 pounds. I haven't seen him. So.
That's true. That is true too. The second thing that I'm thinking about, Tone, is you just talked about Aaron Rodgers. How old is Aaron Rodgers? 38. 38.
I was gonna say 37 there.
Yeah, 38. I'm thinking about longevity. So I'm thinking about I might have my quarterback for the next 7 to 10 years. Yeah. I might have my quarterback right here, and I can build around him. Now, this off the field, the off the field issues, I think that they're going to take care of themselves. I do, and I think that I don't think it's going to be something that just goes away, but I do think that it's going to get handled. And I think that moving forward, he'll be fine. So I just like him in Tampa.
Okay, let's get back to our wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Odell Beckham Jr. was probably going to be the MVP of the Super Bowl of the way he started until his injury. I think it's actually funny. I believe it was Devontae Adams who kind of said, "Hey, you chose to go to LA versus coming to Green Bay when he wanted to do the jersey swap." I'm not hearing much about that anymore. It looked like it worked out. It looked like it worked out in Odell's favor. Does he go anywhere?
No, I don't. I don't think he does. I think that Matt Stafford is locked in for a couple of years, and this is, with Matt Stafford, one of the better situations that he's been in since he was with the Giants. And the problem that we have with Los Angeles,
for Odell, okay.
And the problem that we having with the Rams is they over the cap, Tone. So this team is not going to be what it was last year. I mean, I think they $8 million over the cap. Now, with that also being said, I mean, OBJ got a torn up knee, so he's not going to be playing. So that's going to also affect his free agency value,
right?
Because this is the second time in 3 years? The second time in 3 years. Yeah, I think second time in 3 or 4 years that he tore his knee up. So they're going to start to question what his durability is, and that's going to lower his value. So with that being said, I could see him staying in Los Angeles, but if he were to leave, I think he stays in a big market. I don't see him going back to something like Cleveland or just anything like that.
He's going to be a LA, New York, Chicago kind of.
Now, I'll tell you what, Tone, if he were healthy, where I love him at, I loved him in Baltimore with Deshaun Watson. With
Lamar Jackson needs some help. That's true.
Yeah. I love him with Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. If it doesn't work in Los Angeles, now I'm thinking about him in a big market because that's the kind of guy he is. But with that also being said, he's also the kind of wideout who, if you get him the football, he's a big play wideout. And I think that him and Lamar Jackson would be really good together.
Okay. I think based on what I heard at the parade, I think the Rams are going to do everything in their power to restructure some guys and run it back. And I do listen. I'm going to try to be consistent, right? I don't always, when I look at all the numbers and everything, I don't always believe this 100%. Because sometimes I see like, oh, don't run it back. Like, I know you won, but your guys are like 100 years old. Like, you need to, get rid of people a year early, not a year late. But I've historically said, listen, if you win a championship, you run it back. You bring that team back and you defend your title, right? I hate it when, a team win. I still am angry at the 98 Bulls for them letting everybody kind of go their separate ways. And they came back, and they didn't have an opportunity to go for a four-peat. And I know we're talking football, but let me just say, just think about it. That 98 Bulls team, had they been smart enough to bring back Jordan and Pippen and Kerr and Jackson for one more year, all on 1 year deals, that was a shortened season. Those guys would have got some rest. And look who ended up winning. The Knicks, who didn't have a great record, went to the final. I think who won it that year? The Spurs won it. There was still a chance because of the lockout. But
I'm not surprised that you feel that way, Tone, because again, you being a Laker fan, there's a reason why the Lakers won it back to back to back, because they brought back the whole crew.
Bring back everybody. Yeah, exactly.
They brought the whole crew back. We won it last year. Let's see if we can do it again. We won it again. Let's see if we can do it again. So
and I think because it's it. Yeah, I just think if you're the champs and there isn't any major injuries or retirements or whatever,
run it back.
Now, if you lost. Right, we talk about Portland and the Trailblazers all the time, losing in the Western Conference Finals. Like, hey, that was your peak. Retool, because that's the best you're going to get. So I don't believe in those guys running it back sometimes. But when you win a title, Defend your title. Defend your title.
Football is a little bit different than basketball in the aspect. Just a little bit different in basketball in the aspect. I always felt like this, Tone. If you get swept out of the playoffs, I don't think you're close. I don't care when you get swept. You can get swept in the West Finals. You can get swept in the East Finals. You can get swept in the Finals. You get swept out the playoffs, I don't think you're close. But when you have that kind of championship mentality where you win it, run it back. Absolutely run it back.
All right. So this one hurts a little bit because I think he's the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL. I did a list for you. I don't know if you remember a couple months back where I told you all the quarterbacks he's had since high school. And it was the worst list of quarterbacks I think I've ever read out to anybody. Allen Robinson, it looks like he's out of Chicago. They had him on franchise tag this year. They're not going to franchise tag him again this year, I hope. Mm-hmm. I want to see him with a quarterback. I'm going to let you start. And it's interesting. You've already named the team that I think he should go to. But let me hear your thoughts on Allen Robinson.
Well, before the season started, I was asked about the top 10 wide receivers. I think I had Allen Robinson at 7. I had him on the other side. We're talking about a big play wide receiver, right? We're talking about a big play wide receiver, and I think he's a rough wide receiver too, Tone. I mean, like a physical wide receiver. So I dig him in the NFC more than anything. I dig him in the AFC, but I dig him in the NFC. And if he could get with a team where they have a quarterback, he don't have to be dynamic, but good enough where he could get him the football and they could build around this quarterback, I think that they would be really good. So you're going to kill me for this, Tone, but I like him with the Giants.
Okay. I'm not going to kill you for that.
I like him with the Giants. And the reason why I like him with the Giants is because I think that they're going to do a better job in building that offensive lineup and building that team around Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones isn't as bad as you think he is, Tone. You and I have this conversation.
You sure?
You think he's trash, and I've heard from the Giants brass. They've made it clear. Quote, we've done everything we can to screw this kid up. And we've got to do that's exactly what they said. We've done everything we can to screw this kid up, and we have to do a better job at getting him better players. And I think that with Allen Robinson, that's a step in the right direction. I don't think he's as bad as you think he is, Tone.
So you're not calling him Danny No Dimes like I am.
I'm not calling him Danny No Tone. A wise woman once told me anybody can train a secretary. You can screw him up too, though. Just so.
So it's interesting that you said you see him in the NFC, but then you said with a quarterback. And when I look at the NFC, there's very few quarterbacks that need a wide receiver. If I go through the divisions, well, in the North, there's no real. Is there a great quarterback in the North if Aaron Rodgers leaves? No. If Aaron Rodgers stays, he's keeping Devontae Adams, so that doesn't make sense.
Right.
If I go to the South right now today, who knows what will happen?
Everybody's gone.
Everybody's gone.
Except
right?
for Matt Ryan.
Okay, Matt Ryan, but again, he doesn't need an Allen Robinson. That's not going to save the Falcons. So they don't have anybody. Carolina has nobody. Tampa has nobody. I'm sure I'm forgetting New Orleans.
Carolina, New Orleans.
Atlanta and the Bucks. They've got nothing right now. I look at the East. The only quarterback that I can call a quarterback in the East is Dak, and he's got a core of wide receivers. He doesn't need unless they move on from one and flip him. Okay, fine. I go to the West. Okay, Russell Wilson, but he's got DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. I think he's set. The Rams don't have the money to sign him. Arizona, again, that might be the one spot. And then San Francisco. I don't think he makes sense, but again, is it Trey Lance? Is it Jimmy Garoppolo? Is it somebody else? We don't know.
Right.
So I think, okay, he's probably going to leave the NFC and go to where there's an abundance of good young quarterbacks, to the AFC that could use a dynamic, big play, third down possession. Like, he literally does it all. We didn't see it last year. I get that, but I blame Matt Nagy for Justin Fields and for him last year. So I think you're happier with Matt Nagy being out than you are with the new coach. The new coach, but I think you're happier with they could have brought in a stuffed animal, and I would be happier with that than than keeping Nagy. You're absolutely correct. So that being said, so I look to the AFC and I think, okay, what's kind of that grinded out, kind of grimy team that reminds you of what the NFC is going to be in the AFC? Well, I probably have to look to the AFC North. And I look to a young quarterback, dynamic with his legs, becoming a better pocket passer, who needs that security blanket kind of number one wide receiver who's never had one. No offense to Marquise Brown. But I could see Allen Robinson. You pair him up with Lamar Jackson. Yeah. I'm feeling really good about both of those two guys because now you have Hollywood on the one side. You're going to use Mark Andrews if you're smart, but you got your number one in Allen Robinson. He's the guy I'm going to, if I have to force the ball, it's going to him. If it's third down, just think about it. If it's third down and you can pick Andrews on a short pattern or Allen Robinson, you got two very good, I guess, security blankets. Now, guess what? You can't put 10 in the box to stop Lamar Jackson from running because you got Brown, Andrews, and Allen running there. You're in a great spot to give him more opportunity because I still like Lamar running. I just don't like him getting hit. But I mean, again, if you can't kind of load the box up, well, I feel much better with that. So I think that's a place where I'd like to see him. And just because I like him so much, I'd really like to see him with a good quarterback. Yeah. And so, again, I look at the other teams, right? He's not going to Kansas City, right? He's not going to probably go to the Chargers. Like I go down that list, Buffalo. I don't see him in Buffalo. Baltimore actually makes a lot of sense to me.
Well, there's a difference between scrambling, Tone, and running. So
yes, for sure.
There's a complete difference between those two. And Lamar Jackson does more running than scrambling. He doesn't trust the pocket. He doesn't stay in the pocket even when it collapses. You still see him relying on his legs more than anything. And if he had a threat like Allen Robinson, so now I got Mark Andrews running up the seam, 5-10-yard digs, and I got a downfield threat. I got a deep threat also in Allen Robinson. I think he'd make them so much better than what they already are. Yeah, I can absolutely get with that logic.
All right, so we're going to post this on a couple of places, but one of them is going to be TikTok. So for the TikTok people watching, 5 free agent wide receivers: Devontae Adams, Mike Williams, Chris Godwin, Odell Beckham Jr., and Allen Robinson. Stitch, duet, or in the comments, tell us where do you think all 5 or any one of those guys should go and why. Okay. Yeah. Now we're going to switch gears. I'm going to put my NBA GM hat on.
Uh-oh.
But before I do that, we're going to pick our all-star teams. I'm Kevin Durant. You're LeBron James. We've talked about this. But before we dive into the draft, we have to do a pre-show. And my only pre-show is this one question. I'm just going to compare a couple stats for you. 22 points per game versus 16. 5.2 assists per game versus 1.8. 9 assists per game versus 11. Rebounds per game. 9 versus 11 rebounds. 3 points shooting percentage. 35.6 versus 10. Yes. Free throw percentage, 73% versus 70. Which player should be in the All-Star game? Keeping in mind the All-Star game is an offensive showcase, not a defense. That's why I didn't bring up defensive stuff.
Well, when I'm thinking about the 2 guys that you mentioned, the first guy sounds a little more efficient offensively than the second guy.
Significantly.
So I would have to go with the first guy than the second guy.
So why is Jared Allen in the All-Star game instead of Pascal Siakam? Because that's the 2 guys. It's an offensive showcase. And, people have been sending me, because, I'm from Toronto, and they're asking me, they're like, hey, can you explain this?
Now, I will tell you this, Tone. Now, if I'm not mistaken, did Pascal Siakam not start the season on IR?
He's you know what? Let's check. Let's check how many games. Let's check how many games played.
100% confident that he started the season on IR.
Let's check, because I know you're big on games played. I know that's important. Although there's guys getting voted in as starters who've played 1 game, but okay,
or haven't played any games,
Yeah, I'll play the game with you. All right, let's go Cleveland, and let's look at Jared Allen. Let's see, he's played 50 games, and started all 50. Okay, I don't know how many games they've played, but let's go back and check. And they've played 58 games. So he's missed 8 games. Okay, now let's go back and let's check out the Toronto Raptors. All right. And Pascal Siakam. Now I get it. Now I get Cleveland has a higher ranking. They're a higher seed.
No, that's not what this is about.
Okay, that's not what this is about. That's not what this is about, right? Okay. Pascal Siakam, 44 games.
So he missed 6 games.
So 6 more. No, he's missed 6 more than Jared. Right. Allen missed 8. Siakam's missed however many more than that. Let's see. Right. Toronto's played 57. So he's missed 13 games.
He missed 13.
Is that enough?
Well, like I said, Tone, when I think about what Siakam brings to that team, is he having an all-star season as opposed to Jared Allen, who you and I talked about this before the season started. I had Cleveland on the outside looking in. I had them on the outside looking in, and what Jared Allen has done for them. We're talking about a dude who, at one point, he was second to Jabbar in NBA history. I'm sorry, not Jabbar. He was second to Rudy Gobert in NBA history in field goal percentage in a season. I think he was shooting something close to 70%. He had one of the highest field goal percentage seasons, 16-11. I know that you ain't feeling it, but 16-11. Cleveland is in 3rd place in the East. They out of nowhere, and that's largely due to him. Now, we can't give Cleveland, we can't give Toronto 2 All-Stars and give Cleveland and not give Cleveland 2 All-Stars. So if Jared Allen, if Siakam is on the All-Star team, that means that Jared Allen comes off. Well, how much better is Jared Allen for his unit in terms of a season? How much better is he than what Siakam has been doing? And he missed a lot of time too, Tom. We're talking about he missed 13 games.
Versus 8. It's 5 more games.
And with that being said, we've won with me in the lineup, and I'm having an all-star season. Are you having a better all-star season than me?
One, you sound like you're trying to convince yourself. 2, it sounded really political there for a minute when you're like, well, their team is better, and we got it. How can we have 2 on Toronto and only 1? You made Toronto play 70. Well, you didn't. The Canadian government did. Toronto played 72 road games last season.
Here we
Throw
go.
them a bone. Throw them a bone. And lastly, is the All-Star game not an offensive showcase?
It's supposed to be.
Put that man Siakam in. I might still draft him. That's how this is going to get. All right. You have your list ready? Because I'm going to.
Right now.
All right, let's go. We're going to go. Okay, so what do we got? We got me. We got Jay. I'm KD. You're LeBron. Who got the first pick?
You do.
Beautiful. I'm gonna go. This is beautiful. The first pick's always the hardest one because there's more than one guy you want to start. But because of my heritage, for those of you that don't know,
of course,
I'm Greek. And also the first time ever, this was a couple years back, that I played fantasy basketball. My first overall pick also was Giannis Antetokounmpo because I was like, oh, he's Greek. My team name was going to be the Greek Freak, and I'm Greek, and I picked Giannis. I won that season. It was my first season ever playing fantasy basketball. This is a few $100 in my pocket, so I'm gonna go with Giannis.
Giannis is your guy.
Let's also say.
Hold on.
Yeah, well, while he's getting his pen, I'm gonna tell everybody who's watching. We're assuming that everybody's healthy, including Kevin Durant. Because after we make the draft, we're going to talk about why my team should win.
Okay.
Or his team should lose. All right. So I got Giannis. So far I got KD and Giannis.
And I got James. Okay. And I got James, who is the master distributor. Well, I need James to pass the ball to somebody. Well, who better to pass it to than the big fella Joel Embiid? So that's with the first pick in the 2022
Fluent and Chill draft.
NBA Fluent and Chill draft.
Fluent and Chill All-Star draft.
GM Womack selects Joel Embiid.
So here's the thing. The thing I love about Giannis is that if you give him a lane, like 2 dribbles from center, and he's throwing that down on you. And with KD on one side, who can shoot the long range, could shoot the mid range, could post you up. Well, let me get a little bit more spacing for my big men. And who better than the greatest 3-point shooter in the history of the NBA? So for my second pick in the Fluent and Chill All-Star draft, I'm going with, notice the ties here. I take my Greek Freak and I take a guy who went to middle school in Toronto, Steph Curry.
All right. So
just remember, KD and Curry on the same team, maybe the greatest team ever. All right, just putting that out there.
Tone has, like I said, Tone's got KD, and he's got Steph, and he's got Giannis. I got Embiid. So my next pick, I already got a big fella, right? So I need somebody also to stretch the defense, right? So who can I get to stretch the defense? I'm going to go with Mr. Luka Doncic.
Luka. That's a good one. That's a good pick. That's a good pick. I personally want to be, because I got these guys on my team who can move, athletic, get up and down the court. I want to have a dynamic backcourt. Not only can they shoot threes on you, but they can run on you. And I'm going to go with maybe the most athletic guard, I think, in the NBA today. I'm going to take my guy, Ja Morant.
Ja is your guy. Okay.
You know I'm high on, maybe too high. I'm high on Ja.
Tone Diggs Ja. Well, I need a distributor also. So if I can get it, I got James as the distributor, right? I got Embiid as my box work, and I got Luka as my point forward. So I need some athletes. I definitely need me some athletes on the wings. So you know what, Tone? No, I don't need no athletes. I'm a big fella guy. Joker is my guy. Okay, that's who I'm going with. Joker is my guy. What am I thinking? I'm going with the Jokers because we gonna be large on the front line. Large on the front line.
I thought you were gonna let him slide. That was my next pick.
What am I thinking?
All right, so you got LeBron, Joel Embiid, Luka, and Jokic. That is a big, slow, lumbering lineup so far.
That's who we are.
That's who you are. Okay, I got KD, Giannis, Curry, and Ja. So now let's see. I'm gonna stick with my theme of versatile players who can get up and down the court. But I am, KD and Giannis are my two bigs. So you know what? Let me add in another guy who I think is underrated because he's in Minnesota. And I'm going to add another big who can rim protect and shoot. I'm going to go with Karl Anthony Towns.
You're going to take Towns? All right. I need some athletes, Tone. That's what I need. I need to speed the game up a little bit more. And to do that, I'm going to need some athletes. And my favorite player under 25 is Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum. That's a good pick. It's interesting that I have someone left on the board at pick, what's this? 2, 4, at pick number 9. Wow. I'm going to steal an MVP candidate at number 9 and go with the mid-range assassin. Another former Toronto Raptor. Are you sensing a theme here? I'm going to go with DeMar DeBuckets DeRozan.
Tone is such a homer. Let's make sure we're 100% clear about this. He is.
I got my Greeks, my Canadians, and my Torontonians. I got this covered.
Such a homer.
And Minnesota, let's be honest, even Minnesota is actually more north, I think, than Toronto. So, I got that northern touch.
I'm gonna keep this. What I want to do is I want to keep this athlete theme going, but I also need some buckets on the wing because now I got Jason Tatum, right? I got my bigs already, but now I need some athletes. So, with that being said, I'm gonna stick with my athletes. I'm gonna stick with my athletes team, and I'm gonna go with Donnie Mitchell.
Okay. Donovan Mitchell off the board. I'm having I really feel like I can flip a coin with this one because I really like the young guy, but at the same time, my team is younger. And actually, I think I got a good mix now that I think about it. But I also I don't really have a distributor, right? I got Curry who can shoot. I got Ja who's athletic, but I need someone who, if the game's tight, can come in and get that steal and make the right play and bring all these pieces together.
Yep.
And he's been moving up my rankings every single year. Even he's getting a little older, but I'm gonna take Chris Paul.
That's where I was going. That's fine. Because I'm gonna counter your Chris Paul.
You can't counter Chris Paul. He's the point guard.
I'm gonna counter your Chris Paul because I can appreciate your distributor logic because I need a distributor also. And that's why I'm gonna go with Trey Ice Trey. That's who I'm gonna go with. Yes, sir. Ice Trey is in the house.
I was between the two, and I'm like, Trey, too young, or Chris Paul. So I'll go Chris Paul. I got the athletes. I get it. You needed an athlete. All right, so let's see. So I got everything. Let's be honest. Now I'm just being greedy. I'm just putting extra gravy on my stuff here with these picks.
So it's not this right here more than
it's more like this. Yeah. How I actually do it. And if we keep the Canadian theme, I'm just putting that extra gravy on my poutine because it's delicious. All right, so let's see who we gonna go with. I got everything I need.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Do I want to go young or do I want to go vet? You know what? Y'all sleeping on my guy. Y'all sleeping on my guy. Down in San Antonio. People don't talk about people in San Antonio. I always say his name wrong. I call him Devontae, but will you say his name right? Say his name right. Tell me.
It's DeJounte Murray.
DeJounte Murray. See, I want to make sure I get him right because when I call him over to put him in, DeJounte, of course, I'll just say Murray or I'll call out his number. But all right, I'm going with DeJounte Murray. That's my guy.
I like DeJounte. I want to keep with the athletes theme because I need some. I got some young guys, but I want to keep with the athletes theme. And keeping with the athletes theme, I'm going with Zach LaVine.
Ooh. You know this ain't a dunk off, right?
No, it's not.
Well, with that, I got Giannis. I got Cat.
And
this ain't the playoffs. So I need another rim protector. I need some defense.
That's where I was going next.
And in part of Canada, we speak French. So I'm gonna take the man from France.
Are you taking the Stifle Tower? Are you going with the Stifle Tower?
I'm going with the Stifle Tower.
Stifle Tower is your guy. Okay.
I'm going with Rudy Gobert.
Okay, the Stifle Tower is your guy. I can definitely get with that.
To my team, Rudy Gobert. Entree, parlez-vous.
Yeah. So I'm looking at my lineup, and I got bigs. I got Embiid, right? I got Joker. All right. Let's see. What else do I have? I got Luka as my dynamic. I got Luka as my point forward. I got James as my point forward. I got my distributor in Trae Young. Right. I got my athletes in Tatum and Zach LaVine. Now I need my wild cards. Right. I need my wild cards. So one of my wild cards I'm going to go with another bucket guy. And I'm going to go with Jimmy Buckets.
That was my next pick.
That's who I'm going with.
Damn. As people have noticed, so we'll take a pause. I'm just going to recap our teams real quick and tell you everybody's healthy. That's been for those of you that maybe skipped forward to this. Everybody's healthy. And it didn't matter who was voted in. It was just, everybody, we're just picking. I'm not going by the votes. These are the starters. These are the reserves. We're just picking everybody straight out. So my team got me, Kevin Durant. I got Giannis, Steph Curry, Ja Morant, Kat, DeMar DeRozan, Chris Paul, DeJounte Murray, Rudy Gobert.
Nice.
Team LeBron / Team Chill. We're gonna do Team Fluent, Team Chill. We're gonna put this on. I'm gonna recap everybody at the end, and we're gonna do a poll. You're gonna post it on TikTok. Team Fluent, Team Chill. So they've got LeBron, Joel Embiid, Luka, Jokic, Tatum, Mitchell, Trae Young, Zach LaVine, Jimmy Buckets. All right. So just so we're clear who's left. We've got Andrew Wiggins, Chris Middleton, LaMelo Ball, Fred VanVleet, James Harden. So listen, I'm sticking with my theme. I live just outside of Vaughan, Ontario. Right in between Toronto and Vaughan is where I live. And that's where Mr. Andrew Wiggins is from. So I'm going to take my guy, a starter in this year's All-Star game. I'm going to take Wiggs.
I was surprised. I thought you was going to go with, because you such
I want my athletes, man. I want my athletes.
You're such a homer. I was just surprised that you wasn't going in a different direction. So I already got my distributor in Trae, right? But you know what I also need, Two-Tone? I need some flash, man. I need somebody that's dynamic. I need some flash because this is an all-star game. So I'm gonna go with my boy LaMelo.
You were looking down. I just mouthed that. Everybody. I'm surprised you didn't pick him first. You wanted him to be a starter.
I thought he was gonna be a starter, Tone. I did. I thought he was starting.
You took some LaMelo Ball, and this is where I figured you weren't gonna do this. So this is where I'm gonna take steady Freddie, Fred VanVleet, and complete the Toronto sweep. Fred VanVleet.
Oh man. Okay.
So here's your options. You got James Harden,
Mm-hmm.
Chris Middleton.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it. Is that
That's
it?
it. Yep.
Okay, I got an extra player.
And for that, I know that this is going to come down in the meat and potatoes of the game. I know this is going to come down to getting stops. And I know Middleton is going to do that for me. So I'm going with Chris.
Well, to keep it fair, I can't believe we just did this. But since I guess I get James Harden. I think that, if he's my 12th man, I'm feeling pretty good about my squad. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So again, for the YouTube shorts, for TikToks, we're gonna put out a poll. Team Fluent, Team Chill. Let me break down the teams for you. So on Team Fluent, we've got everybody's healthy. Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Steph Curry, Ja Morant, Kat, DeMar DeRozan, Chris Paul, DeJounte Murray, Rudy Gobert, Andrew Wiggins, Fred VanVleet, James Harden.
And we missed one too, by the way.
Who do we miss?
We missed one. So you're taking James Harden. So yeah. I'm going to take the leftover guy, the guy that's 22 a game. I'm going to hold on to Devin Booker.
Oh, no, you already picked Devin Booker.
No, I didn't.
Mm-mm. Did we not pick Devin Booker?
No, we did not. So,
oh, man.
I'm going to hold on to Booker. Mm-hmm.
You got Booker? Well, then I guess I got, because we missed somebody else too. Darius Garland. I'm going to have another young, dynamic guard. Look at that.
There you go.
Oh, okay. We'll have to start. I'm gonna have to start that list over again. So here we go. Do we miss anybody else then?
You make sure.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
yeah, we got everybody. Those are the last
12,
two.
13. Yeah, and you got 12. All right.
And I love Darius Garland. I don't like Darius Garland. I love him.
How do we miss Book? Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, Devin Booker. All right, let me break it down again then. So Team Fluent consists of KD, all healthy, Kevin Durant, Giannis, Steph Curry, Ja Morant, Kat, DeRozan, Chris Paul, DeJounte Murray, Rudy Gobert, Andrew Wiggins, Fred VanVleet, James Harden, and Darius Garland.
Yep.
Team Chill, LeBron James, Joel Embiid, Luka Doncic, Jokic, Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, Trae Young, Zach LaVine, Jimmy Butler, LaMelo Ball, Chris Middleton, and Devin Booker. So here's those lists. I'm going to post them there so you can see the names. And the polling should be somewhere over here. I don't know where it's going to be. Maybe right underneath us. Team Fluent or Team Chill? Who wins the game? All right. Now that you guys are going to vote, where I'm not going to post this part on our shorts and our TikTok, but let's you and I have the discussion. Who's going to be you got to pick now. This is the tough part. Now you're going to go coach. Who's going to be your starters?
My starting five. All right. So my front court, I'm going with James.
At what position?
James is at the small forward.
Okay.
All right. Embiid is at the 5. I got, let's see here. Let me make sure I get this correct. I got Luka at the lead guard. Luka's at the lead guard. Let's see. Who am I going to go with? I'm going to go with Tatum at the off guard. Luka at the lead. Tatum at, actually, no. Let's rewind that. I'm going to go with Luka at the lead guard. Booker at the off guard, James at the 3.
Your last pick's gonna be starter.
Okay. James. So let me make sure I got this right. I got Luka at the lead guard.
Yep.
Booker
at the 2.
Yeah, Booker at the 2. James at the 3.
You need your 4. You got Joel Embiid at the 5.
I got Joel Embiid at the 5. Let's see. Joke at the 4 and Embiid at the 5.
Okay, Joker at the 4. Wow, you got Joker, LeBron, and Embiid as your 3, 4, 5. All right.
That's my front line.
All right, so mine's gonna be, I think, easier. I got KD at the 3 at the small forward. I got Giannis as my power forward. I'm gonna have Curry as my 2. I'm gonna have Chris Paul starting at point, and I'm gonna have Kat starting as my center. And then, and I'm going to give you my 6th man too. Is going to be Ja. Ja's going to be my first guy off the bench.
Okay. And my first guy off the bench is going to be Tatum.
Tatum. Okay.
Yeah, that's my first guy off the bench. And I think we beat y'all.
Of course you do.
I think we beat y'all.
Why? You got to give the why. You got to give the why.
Here's why we beat y'all. Well, first of all, I got my point forward, my primary ball handler in Luka at 6'8", 6'9", just dealing. All right, he's a primary distributor in this offense with these guys. He's dealing. I got Book as my mid-range assassin to counter your mid-range assassin in DeRozan or in Steph Curry, right? And then I got my playmaker in James. I got my long ball shooter in James. I got my slasher in James. And I got my box work and my rim protection and Embiid and Jokic. We serving y'all, Tone. Serving y'all.
Can you answer me this? How old is LeBron James?
37 years
37.
old.
Okay.
Playing like he's 27.
All right. So check this out. I got the best scorer in the game in Kevin Durant. No question. The best scorer in the game.
Damn.
I got Giannis, who, let's be honest, Joel Embiid, Luka, and Jokic, if you combined their speed, they're not half as fast as Giannis. So I'm worried about your team just keeping up with us. Like, you're still going to be at half court. We're going to be dunking the ball. I got Steph Curry, the greatest shooter in the game. So not only do I have the greatest scorer in the game, and don't forget, this is an all-star game. This is a defensive battle. So I've got the best scorer, the best shooter. Then I got Cat running up and down, who's going to space out. Can Jokic guard him? Can Jokic guard Cat?
Yes.
The length of the floor?
Yes.
As they used to say on Home Improvements? I don't think so, Tim. So I feel like, and I didn't even remember. I got Chris Paul. I got the point guard distributing to these guys. Oh, by the way, not only do I have the best scorer and the best shooter and the best big out of the bunch in Giannis, I've also got defensively in their career today, Giannis is a better defender. Cat is a better defender. Chris Paul is a great defender. I've also got defenders. Oh, and by the way, your team looks really slow. Your team looks like, just think about it. The best athlete, okay, maybe it's Book, but like the second best athlete is a 37-year-old LeBron James on your starting lineup. So we're going to let the people decide. I think I got this one too. So we're going to put it out to the people. But I wish I would. I gotta be honest. You're very, I don't want to say lucky, but you're lucky. I'm lucky that I missed Book, because clearly I would have picked Book over Harden. But I still have James Harden coming in as my 12th man. That's a pretty good 12th man. So I feel pretty good. And if you do start to get to the rim, which I doubt because your guys are slow as molasses, I'm gonna just put in Rudy Gobert. He's gonna swat them things out into the third row.
Embiid, Joker, Luka getting to the rim, bodying him. Luka getting to the rim. Absolutely. We getting up and down the floor.
Luka's never had defense like that. We're switching. All five are switching.
You better switch.
I'll take Chris Paul out for a minute and I'll put in Ja. Ja's gonna two-hand against the backboard.
And I'm taking out Luka and I'm putting in Trey, the master distributor, second in the league in assists. So
who's first?
Who's leading? Oh, the God.
Yeah.
The God, he's at the top of the list. The God is at the top of the list.
I got the number one assist guy too.
And I got the number two assist guy.
Let's be clear. I got the best scorer, the best three-point shooter, and the best assist man. I'm feeling pretty good. All right, that was fun. We gotta do another one like that. That was fun. All right. Now, we gotta get your pick. And if you're watching on YouTube and you're not on the TikTok to do the polls, like in the comments, obviously, yes, absolutely. Well, follow, like, share all this stuff. But I want to hear in the comments which team you got, Team Fluid or Team Chill. I'm gonna have you've seen them. They're right here. I'm putting them right in between us both. I might even leave it for the rest of the show. Leave our teams there for the rest of the show. So I'll move a little to this side. Oh no, this side. You're over here. That's where it'll be. So that being said, now we're gonna go to mail. All right, here we go. Let me get the questions out. We got some good ones. I told you there's a couple NBA questions. We got a couple. We got 2 NBA questions, an NFL question, and we got a kind of real life scenario question. So, we do sports, basketball, football, life. So we're going to start in the NBA. It's funny. I just brought up James Harden. And there's been some controversy on my TikTok page because someone said if James Harden were to play in the late 80s and early 90s, he'd average 35 plus points a game. I rebutted and said, the only time James Harden in this era averaged more than 35 points a game. He shot, I think it was 13 threes a game, 11 free throws a game, and 13 3-pointers a game, excuse me. And I said, in those days, in the late 80s, early 90s, teams were averaging between 5 and 9 3-pointers a game. There's no way one player was going to shoot 1.5 times what the league was averaging. Right. I also pointed out that in the late 80s, early 90s, only once, and it was like 86, 87, did even Michael Jordan average more than 11 free throws per game. And if you look at the greatest kind of most free throws per game, no one did it consistently. Correct. So am I completely out of the realm by saying, or what I said was, if he does it once, that would be a great accomplishment. But to average it for that whole decade, kind of let's say 85 to 95, I go, it's not happening because 1, he's not shooting a ton of threes. 2, he's not getting to the free throw line nearly as much. Like I said, Jordan was getting on average 8 free throws a game over that decade. 8. Mm-hmm. So I don't think he's going to do it. So the question comes in and says, can you ask? It actually said in the question on Fluent and Chill, which I like when you add that in. Mm-hmm. Would Harden average 35 plus in the late 80s, early 90s?
I don't.
So I've given you my reasons why I don't think he would.
Well, I think you gave some good points, but you also left out the fact that at that time, the game was dominated by the big man. And not only was the game dominated by the big man, there was defense that was a little bit more rugged and it was a little less lenient than it is today. So that being said, you already saw what the rule changes were and how he adjusted to the rule changes this year, where he actually had to play through contact. Now, do I think James Harden will be a star in the late 80s, early 90s? Yeah, I think he would do work.
Absolutely.
But to say that he would average 35 a game when we're talking about a guy in James Harden who at 6'5", his game is primarily pounding the basketball, shooting the long ball. Now, does that translate into what they were doing in the late 80s, early 90s, where we dumping it into the big man? We don't really play we play fast, but we don't play as fast. He would have had to adjust to that, or maybe the league would have had to adjust to him, and they would have adjusted to him. And I don't think for 1 second that he's scoring 35 a game on Gary Payton. I just can't see that. I don't see him scoring 35.
And when he did average 36, wasn't that in the 7 seconds or less offense?
Right.
That's
what was going on.
No one's running that back then.
And I mean, they did that I remember they did that in Denver with Doug Moe, where Orlando Woolridge led the league in scoring for a little while. Come on, it was at the bottom of the Western Conference. Give me a break.
They weren't winning.
Okay. No.
All right. Question number 2. I think it's clear, but like I said, I like to answer the people. Who's the best active NBA player?
Who is the best active NBA player today?
Because Kevin Durant is hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Because he kind of was the consensus pick. So who's the best player right now in the NBA that's playing?
I stand on it. I said it's Giannis. Giannis is the best player in the game. And I stand on that. When I think about a guy who is elite on both sides of the basketball, Tone, you know how I feel about the complete basketball player. I'm not one of these guys. And you caught a lot of heat for talking about Kevin Durant, which the argument is not ridiculous. It is not. Because if I were to say, because I would probably get a lot of heat for this. Dennis Rodman in the 80s. What was Dennis Rodman? He was a defender.
A defender and rebounder. Defender and rebounder.
With him being a defender and a rebounder, you know what we call those people? We call those people specialists. So with that being said, Kevin Durant is primarily buckets. That's his game. So is Kevin Durant a specialist? Is that all he does? So when I think about a guy like Giannis, who I'm elite on the defensive side of the basketball, I'm one of the better playmakers at my position. Giannis averages over almost 6 assists a game.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's third in the league, third or fourth. He's in the top 5 in the league in scoring. And I think he's in the top 15, top 10 in the league in rebounding. So we talk about a complete basketball player, and not only a complete basketball player, what it's generated into wins. I mean, I think Milwaukee I think they're a game out of first place too. I think they're a game out of first place in the East. Giannis
I'm not, you know me, I'm picking them to repeat.
Yeah, Giannis is the best player in the game.
Giannis is the best player in the game, and it's interesting because people will focus on the things he can't do. Well, he can't shoot threes. He's not a consistent free throw shooter. Yep. There's a couple of things he doesn't do great. But in terms of all around basketball player, right now today, I'm picking Giannis too, which is why he was my first pick in our All-Star draft. And why my team's winning.
I'm nuts enough to think, Tone, that you weren't going to go that direction. I was thinking he's not going to pick Giannis. And
100%. There's no way I wasn't picking Giannis. Although I will say I was thinking Joel Embiid. Because even that being said, I think of who are the MVP candidates, right?
Right.
And it's Joel, it's Jokic, it's Ja. There's a lot of good players, but I just think if I look at total players, including defense, we have really good defenders. We have really good offensive players. We have really good kind of ball distribute. Very few people do multiple, and that's why the question came out about Kevin Durant. What else does he do great for his career? Not in a 1 year, or two. Because people say, "Oh, he played really good defense for Golden State." Well, that was 2.5 years to 3. Let's say 3 regular seasons because he didn't play the playoffs. 3 seasons out of 13 or 15, however many he's played. 13, I think, 14. Well, that's not enough. That's not enough. Right, like you got to do it for longer. So yeah, I'm with you. I think Giannis. So that I thought that was going to be a debate. I didn't think you were going to go with Giannis. So there you go. So we both decided to pick Giannis.
I said that before the season started. Before the season started, I was like, I said Giannis is the best player in the game, and I got a lot of heat for that. Kevin Durant this and this guy. No, Giannis is the best player in the game.
This is a way too early prediction for the AFC. This was a football question. You've got the Bengals, who are the defending AFC champs. You have the Chiefs, who have gone to 4 straight AFC championship games. You've got the Chargers with Herbert, who are on the come up. You got the Ravens, who will have Lamar Jackson back and healthy. You got the Bills. You got the Patriots. The AFC is stacked with good teams and good young quarterbacks. And I didn't even mention, right? I think I missed a whole division. So way too early. Who's winning the AFC this year?
I caught a lot of heat for this, Tone, but let's start eliminating some people.
Okay.
I think that Kansas City is over. And why do you think Kansas City is over? Well, number one, what happened in Seattle when Russell Westbrook signed that extension? That money kicked in. All of a sudden, the guys that we really need, we can't get them. All right? So same thing is about to happen this season coming up. That money kicks in. And now they're going to have to go in a different direction. And with that division being what it is, I think the Raiders are going to get better. I think that you already know how I feel about the Chargers and Herbert. I thought that the Chargers were going to represent the AFC in the bowl game. I was wrong, but I think that they are definitely a team that's on their way. I look at Cincinnati, Tone. Cincinnati might have the best young talent in the game. Boyd, Mixon, Higgins, Joe Burrow, Azuma. They might have the best young talent offensively. I think they shore up that offensive line. I think we could consider it. I'm not going to say without injury because that's what football is. Guys get hurt.
Of course.
But if they can avoid being injured as much, I wouldn't be surprised to see Cincinnati back in the bowl game. That would not surprise me at all, Tone. Because I think
especially they have one of the most, the biggest salary cap, the most room,
right,
the most money to spend in the offseason.
Right. I think that they're going to run it back because they got a lot of guys that I wouldn't be surprised if they ran it back. But I'm going with the team that I'm digging, and I'm digging the Chargers, Tone. I just am.
You're sticking with the Chargers? Okay.
I'm just digging the Chargers.
Listen, it's hard for me to do this because I really like what the Bengals have done. They went to the bowl game. You know, I've always been of the to be the man, you got to beat the man kind of mantra. They have the most, like I just said, the most cap space to shore up that offensive line and even to improve on an already good defense. People are sleeping on the Bengals defense. The Bengals defense is good. So they have that money. They've had, like you said, they've got a running back, a dynamic young quarterback, 3 great wide receivers. I'd like to see, not that I don't, not a big, I like Azuma, but I think tight end, maybe they could get an upgrade there. However, only 3 teams in NFL history have gone to the Super Bowl 3 times. It was the 70 Dolphins, the 80s Bills, who lost all 4, and then just recently the 16 through 18 Patriots. So I told, I said I doubt that the Chiefs are going to go to a 3rd straight Super Bowl because it doesn't happen that often. But I think they figured something out midway through the season because they looked horrible at the beginning of the season. I had them out of the playoff picture. You had them out of the playoffs, yeah. Halfway through the season, they were out, and they made it to the AFC Championship game.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at their free agents, it's not Patrick Mahomes, it's not Tyreek Hill, it's not Travis Kelce, it's not that offense. It's now they've got to figure something out because I know defense isn't their strength, but their biggest free agents this season are Tyrann Mathieu, Jaron Reed, Melvin Ingram, who they have just brought in this season. It's a lot of Darrell Williams, maybe the only offensive player, but it's mostly guys on the defensive end. It's none of their core offensive players.
Right.
So are they still going to be one of the best offenses in the AFC? And the answer is yes. And as long as they have, right, until that, like you said, until that money kicks in because the difference with Seattle, so you use that example, and I use that example a lot too. The difference with Seattle was they had Russell Wilson, and then they had a lockdown defense, right? The Legion of Boom.
Mm-hmm.
And when his money kicked in, they couldn't afford to keep the Legion of Boom and those guys that started to get older.
Right.
So what their staple was defense. And when that went away, the offense just couldn't do enough to keep them winning. And that's why they didn't. Kansas City's in a different boat. They've never been built on defense. Their defense is very situational. It's never been a lockdown defense. They've only ever been built on offense. So as long as they have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill,
right,
they're going to be my pick to bring it back because I think they're built on offense.
Right.
And they're, like always, they'll figure it out on defense. However, listen, I wouldn't be surprised if it was the Bengals. And I really think the Bills, if Josh Allen takes another step up like he did this season,
right,
they got to watch out for the Bills. But if I had to pick it today, again, I got to see what happens in the draft and free agency. I'm going with the Chiefs.
I will tell you this, though, Tone, to counter what you just said, the reason why they ended up playing better in the second half of the season, I believe it was their last 6 games. I think they had one of the 5 best defenses in the game. Their last 6 games had nothing to do with their offense. It's because their defense started playing better.
Up. Yep.
Their defense started playing better. It had nothing to do with their offense. However, the problem is that defense is inconsistent. And not only would it be inconsistent, when that money kicks in, you're going to have to start paying guys. And if you don't, then that means you're going to get lower level guys, and that defense is going to suffer because of that. Mm-hmm. Because it's going to suffer, I think that's going to be the difference in why they go the other way.
Listen, I've said that too. However, I feel Mahomes for me and Andy Reid, I guess, as a pairing, they're starting to feel like I'm not gonna, because I bet against them this year. I'm just like, I'm not gonna bet against them until they show me, right? So if they don't make the AFC Championship this season, then my opinion, I think will change. I'm gonna give them one more shot. I'm gonna give them one more crack at it before I write them up. All right, the last question. Oh, I got to pull it up. My apologies. The last question, because this is a good one. This is a life question.
Mm-hmm.
So we have I'll just read it. It's short. I'm a 22-year-old, and I've won some money, like significant money.
Mm-hmm.
What should I do with it? I say spend it. I say go get all your friends, take a trip, and blow it all. 5-star limos, top shelf liquor, go crazy, have fun.
Don't listen to this guy right here, okay? Do not listen to that. That's nuts. Oh my God. No.
22.
No, 22 years.
You get more money.
Okay. You could see, that's the logic right there. That's the logic right there. I'm 22. I'm gonna feel like this forever. I'm 22. Yeah. I'm not gonna be 40. Actually, I am gonna be 40 one day.
You're gonna win some more money down the road too.
Oh, you're not, my man. Well, one of the things that's important when you come into some money as a young guy is to put some of it away. It's very important to do that. And you can invest in CDs, you can invest in crypto, but do yourself a favor and invest in some property. And the reason why I say invest in some property is because that's a check that doesn't stop. You can buy yourself a house, fix it up, turn it into an Airbnb, or turn it into a rental for you. And that's a check that will never stop. So when you're 40 and have most of the money that my man right here just told you to go to Vegas on a private jet that costs $15,000.
Yes, sir. Get the Oprah suite.
Right. And you just blew $100,000. That money, that check that you just put into that house, that's still going to be there. And what you want whenever you come into some money is to have that money continuously rolling. And one of the things that you can do is in investing in some property.
All right. So that obviously I was kidding with my first answer.
Of course.
So my second, the real answer, however, is dependent on where you are in life, in the sense that I know you're 22, but where's your family? Where are you? Do you have a job? Are you in school? There's how much money? That's a big question, because there's the rule of 4 or 4%. And depending on the amount of money, you can actually put your money away and invest it. And if it's enough, you get a 4% return, which if you want to just live a regular life, that 4% actually, you can live off of that. Okay. If you go and look it up, the rule of 4%, there's like books that show you how to live off that. Now, for some people, they want more. And so I get that. And so, to Jay's point, it's look at what those, and I hate to say it, like what those safe investments are that'll give you reoccurring income. Cause that's really the thing. If you can, so first of all, take half of that money and put it into a separate account. This is from Kevin Hart, because that's not yours. That's the government's. They're going to take half of that. So just put it there, because they're going to come after you for taxes. I don't know if you guys know this. 73% of lottery winners are bankrupt within 3 years.
Dead, finished.
Dead bankrupt. Because here's what they do. I won $5 million. I go and buy a $5 million house.
No.
And they don't realize utilities, property taxes. There's so many things. And then you're just broke.
You have to maintain that.
Yeah. So the plan is to take that money and listen, I don't cuss, as you know, or I try not to cuss, especially on this show. But there's this great show, I believe it's called The Gambler, with Mark Wahlberg. And his whole thing, he's obviously addicted to gambling. However, his big thing is he wants that one big score, because he wants, and he says the full word, he wants FU money. He wants to be able to make his choices. And if anybody doesn't like it, FU, I got my money. So that's why I like the rule of 4%, because if you invested in that sense and you live off the 4%, which is good, like there's, again, depending on how much it is, there's things where you can live off, because that's tax-free, right? 50, 60, 70, $100,000 a year just on those interest and investments, dividends. And then you're just living. And then guess what? And then you could still work if you want. You could do whatever. If you have a passion, you want to be a podcaster, you want, whatever it is, you can go do it. And if anybody doesn't like it, well, you still got those millions of dollars in the bank. You got that FU money. Yeah. So look into those, you want to try to diversify and have multiple revenue streams. I know, listen, we're not financial advisors, so don't, go find someone smarter than us. But I think 2 options. Jay's point, reoccurring revenue, the rule of 4%, you can look that up. Or lastly, like I said, just take everybody you know and go have a big party. All right.
We're going to do that anyway. I'm going to do that anyway. But I can't.
Listen, you know what I would, honestly, what I would do is I would take the half and put it in the bank, because I know that's not mine.
Right.
And then I would say, okay, this is what I have left. This is going to be my fun.
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to be investments, savings. Like I'm gonna bring up, but there's going to be a chunk. There's going to be a chunk.
We're going to do that anyway, no doubt. We can't blow all the money doing that.
Like don't go buying a $400,000 Lambo. Like buy $100,000 Range Rover and just be cool. Just chill. Like just good. All right, so that's bad advice from Fluent and Chill, specifically from Fluent. Better advice from Chill. Next week, so don't forget, Monday 8 p.m. we're gonna do our live on TikTok. Wednesday, I already know our conspiracy, by the way. I got in a flood of, remember I asked people to send us their conspiracies. I'm gonna give you the whole weekend to research this. The conspiracy, it's the LeBron James HGH conspiracy is what we're gonna talk about. That was by far the number 1 vote getter. We're gonna talk more about what's gonna happen in the offseason in the NFL. We're going to talk about the NBA All-Star game. A lot on tap for next week. But until then,
take it light, but take it.
I won the draft.